Good evening, children. Today, in this session, I am going to discuss some of the topics of Grade 10 Social Science, Economics, Chapter 1 Development. Previously, from this chapter, we have discussed about the definition of development, what development promises different people, different goals, income and other goals, national development. Now, today in this session, we will discuss how to compare different countries or states. So generally for comparing countries, their income is considered to be one of the most important attributes. So we take average income for comparing the countries. So what is this average income? Average income is the total income of the country divided by its total population. The average income is also called as per capita income. So in World Development Reports brought out by the World Bank. So you will be asking me, what is this World Bank? It is one of a organization which has compared the countries and given its report as World Development Report. And for comparing the countries, this World Bank has taken a criteria. It's called as per capita income. So according to this World Bank, this criterion, that is per capita income, is used in classifying countries. So countries with per capita income of US dollars 12,236 per annum and above in 2016 are called as rich countries, and those with per capita income of US dollars 1,005 or less are called as low income countries. And India comes in the category of low middle income countries because its per capita income in 2016 was just US dollars 1,840 per annum. Now coming to the average income, children. See, here we have a table. In this table, we can see two of the countries are compared. So here in average income, we can also see one statement here. While averages are useful in comparison, they also hide disparities. So what do you mean by this statement? So after going through this table, we will discuss about that. So in this table, we can see that monthly income of citizens in 2012 in rupees it is given. So for easily understanding, just assume that in each country 5 citizens are living. So in country A, first citizen's income is 9,500. Second citizen's income is 10,500. Third citizen's income is 9,800. Fourth one is 10,000 and fifth one is 10,200. Now the average of country A is 50,000. Now coming to country B, first citizen's income is 500, second one 500, third one 500, fourth one 500 and fifth one 48,000. For country B also the average is 50,000. So, but here we can see the disparity. So what is the disparity? In country A, we can see that the income among the citizens, we don't have much differences. Like only 500 or 200, only that much of difference is there in their income. Means there is a equality in the income in the country A. Coming to the country B, first 4 citizens income is only 500, whereas fifth citizen income is 48,000. So here what we observe that in country B, 4 citizens are poor and 1 citizen is rich. Means there is a great disparity, there is a lot of difference in the income among the citizens. So now I want to ask you a question. In which country you will be happy? You will be happy living in country A or living in country B? Then obviously you will say that you will be happy in living in country A. Maybe the income is less, but there is a equality is there. But in country B, 4 people are poor and one is rich. There is a lot of differences are there. Means more people are poor in country B. But coming to the averages, both the countries' averages are same. So in this way, we can conclude that while if we compare the countries by taking averages, we will not come to know about that each how much each person is earning in a particular country. Altogether, we will get the average, but we won't get idea that how what is the income of each person. We don't know that. So that is the reason that this statement, while averages are useful for comparison, they also hide disparities. This is the meaning of this statement, children. They are useful for comparison, but they hide some disparities. Now, here we have one more picture, children. Here we can see country with no rich and no poor, and country with rich and poor. If we see the first one, we can see that here 4 chairs are shared by 5 people and they are sitting comfortably. But in the second picture, we can see that country with rich and poor, one person is happily sleeping on 4 chairs, whereas 2 chairs are shared by 4 people. See the situation of the people here. In country A, there is no rich and no poor. First country. Second country, country with rich and poor means few people who are rich, they are enjoying all the facilities, whereas more people who are poor, they are denied with those facilities. So here then we can conclude that by comparing with average income, we will not get the correct picture of the development of the country. We don't know whether the country is developed or not. Now, income and other criteria. So, in this topic, here we can see a table here. Table 1.3, per capita income of selected states. So here we can see per capita income of Haryana, Kerala and Bihar is given. Haryana's per capita income is 1,62,034 rupees. Kerala's per capita income is 1,55,516 rupees. Whereas Bihar's per capita income is 34,168. Means what? Per annum, here in Haryana, each person's income is 1,62,034 rupees. In Kerala, each person's income is 1,55,516, and in Bihar, each person's income is 34,168 in average. Now, here we can see that another table also we can see some comparative data on Haryana, Kerala and Bihar. Here it is given, table 1.4. In this table, we can see along with per capita income, we can see here some other attributes also. So here in the first table 1.3, here only per capita income is given, but in table 1.4 some other attributes are also given. So what are those attributes? Infant mortality rate, literacy rate, net attendance ratio. Now, coming to what is infant mortality rate? Means it indicates the number of children that die before the age of 1 year as a proportion of 1,000 live children born in that particular year. That is called as a infant mortality rate. Means what? Per 1,000 children born, how many children are dying within reaching 1 year? That is called as the infant mortality rate. Now coming to the literacy rate, it measures the proportion of literate population in the 7 and above age group. 7 and above age group, the child who can read and write in any of the particular language, then he is called as a literate. Net attendance ratio. Net attendance ratio is the total number of children of age group 14 and 15 years attending school as a percentage of total number of children in the same age group. So here we can see that in Haryana, infant mortality rate per 1,000 children, 36 children are dying before reaching the 1 year, and literacy rate 82%, and net attendance rate is 61%. Kerala, coming to Kerala, infant mortality rate is 12 and literacy rate is 94%, and net attendance rate is 83%. And coming to Bihar, infant mortality rate is 42, literacy rate percentage is 62, and net attendance rate is 43. So what we have observed in this table is, even though Kerala's per capita income is less than Haryana, but it is better in other aspects like infant mortality rate, literacy rate, and net attendance ratio. So here what we come to know that only income, if we have only better income, it is not sufficient. Along with income, we should be in better position in all these attributes also, like infant mortality rate, literacy rate, or net attendance rate. Then only we can say that our country is developed or our state is developed. So here the problem after this data is about 2015 only, and after 17 years of independence, also 70 years of independence, our India's position, see the India's position in some of the states, we are lagging behind. Okay, many children, because of no good no better facilities like health facilities and all, many children are dying before reaching 1 year. So here what we understand that here government is not taking that much care on in all these aspects. When we observe the situation of Kerala, it is better in all these aspects. The reason is here government is taking very good care of all these aspects. Means government is providing good public facilities to the people in Kerala. Now you will ask me question, what is public facilities? Public facilities means government provide some facilities to the people for the well-being of the people. So this is provided to all the people in the country. Like we can see government schools, hospitals, government hospitals, public distribution system, PDS, transportation, banks. So these all will come under public facilities. So the country or in the states where there are very good public facilities, those states and countries will be well developed, we can say. So means money in your pocket. Here we can see public facilities, children. Money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. Actually, for many of the important things in life, the best way also, the cheapest way is to provide these goods and services collectively. Just think, Will it be cheaper to have collective security for the whole locality or for each house to have its own security man? What if no one other than you in your village or locality is interested in studying? Would you able to study? Suppose in your village only you are the person who want to study. Then can you study? No, you can't. Unless and until a school is provided by the society or the government, if it is established there, then along with you many other children can study in that school. So some of the public facilities should be provided collectively, so that all the people collectively can get benefited by those public facilities. In many of the states, actually, girls are not able to go to high school because the government or the society has not provided adequate facilities in some of the schools. Now, so previously we have learned about World Bank. So World Bank, it is one of our organization which has compared the countries using per capita income or average. So by using averages or per capita income, we don't know whether the country has developed or it is underdeveloped. We don't know correctly. We cannot estimate correctly. Already we have learned with so many examples. Now here we have Human Development Report. So what is this Human Development Report? Human Development Report is given by the UNDP. It is also one of our organization, United Nations Development Program, and it has also compared the countries, and it has given the report called as Human Development Report. And for comparing the countries, what are the attributes it has used? Here the World Bank has used per capita income to compare the countries. So what this UNDP has used? So UNDP, along with per capita income, it has included some other attributes also. So what are those attributes? Like infant mortality rate, literacy rate, net attendance ratio. This all it has taken into consideration. Means health factors, sex ratio, literacy rate, this all it has considered, and it has given its report. And according to the development of the countries, it has ranked the countries. It has compared some 188 countries. And here we can see the ranks also. Here some 6 countries comparison is given: Sri Lanka, India, Myanmar, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh. Here we can see gross national income, that is per capita income, life expectancy of birth, mean years of schooling of people aged 25 and above, and HDI rank in the world. So actually it has compared 188 countries, but here only 6 countries data is given. So here we can see Sri Lanka, India, Myanmar, Pakistan, Nepal and Bangladesh. Now HDI, here we have some notes also. HDI stands for Human Development Index. HDI ranks in above table are out of 188 countries in all. Life expectancy at birth denotes, as the name suggests, average expected length of life of a person at the time of birth. Now per capita income is calculated in dollars for all countries so that it can be compared. It is also done in a way so that every dollar would buy the same amount of goods and services in any country. So here we can observe, in this table we can observe that even though Sri Lanka is smaller in size or in population, whatever may be, from than India, it is good in all aspects when compared to India. Means it is good at national income, means average income, per capita income. It is good at life expectancy at birth. Even it is good at mean years of schooling, and even it is good at HDI rank also. It is in the 73rd rank, whereas India is in 131. So even smaller in size, we can see that there the development is more in Sri Lanka. Means what we understood by this example is that here more public facilities are provided by the government to the people. Government has focused more on the development of the people. So that is the reason that we can see that Sri Lanka is in better position. Now the next topic is sustainability of development. So actually, what is sustainable development? Already previously also we have discussed. Sustainable development is that process of economic development which aims at maintaining the quality of life of both the present and the future generations without harming the natural resources and environment. So that is called as a sustainable development. Means we should development should happen using the resources, but we should use the resources in such a way that we should develop, and we have to preserve these resources for our future generations also. We should not harm these resources. So that is called as a sustainable development. So when we are thinking of the development, not only we should think about the development of present, we should think about the development of future also. So here we have some examples also, like groundwater in India. So in India, what happened? About 300 districts here, because of the overuse of water for irrigation purposes, water table has depleted, and if this will continue in the next 25 years, we will be in great danger. There will be no availability of water, groundwater. And another example is also given, like exhaustion of natural resources also. So in the same way, natural resources also we are using in such a way that in future, after 50 years, these natural resources will be exhausted. So the what we have learned. So after observing all these examples and all, what we have learned from this chapter is, like, development means it's not that only development in the national income or per capita income. Development means development should happen in all the aspects along with per capita income. In all aspects, development should happen. That is, good health care should be there. All the public facilities should be provided to the people. Government should take more care on schooling. So if all these facilities are provided, then only the true development will happen. Not only this, sustainable development should happen. Means not only we should think about the present, we should also think about the future generations also. We should develop, at the same time we should think about the development of our future also. So this is the concept of the lesson, children. So here we have also learned about the World Bank, what criteria World Bank has used and what are the criteria used by the UNDP. So I am going to conclude this lesson, children. I think that you have well understood this lesson, and have a nice day, children. Thank you. Thank you once again.